This is Needy and Normal. I'm your host, Ashley Levering, mom, wife, and life coach. After years of coaching and learning from my own life, one thing is clear: meeting your needs is essential for living your best life. Here, we'll talk about your needs and not only learn to accept them, but also tend to them without guilt. You're not needy. It's normal. Let's get into it. I am beyond excited and grateful for the guest I had on the Needy and Normal podcast for this episode. Oh my goodness. Not that I have favorites, but if I did, I'm just saying. Sharrie Williams. You guys, don't miss a minute of this Maybelline. Yes, the Maybelline Cosmetic Company family. The Maybelline family legacy. She is legendary in her own right, but she is the keeper of the secrets and the stories. And oh my gosh, do we get into it. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for pushing play. Thank you for rating and reviewing the show before you go. This episode is electric. Please enjoy Sharrie Williams. Well, yeah, there's enough information and details and stories, layers and layers. Like, how could that just be one movie? Because this is how that's been done. Like, there's documentaries, there's a few things out there, but
No. There's
there's
absolutely
really
nothing.
not.
Mm-mm.
Oh,
Because it was
well
a private
then.
family. It was a very private company. Even when the stock was in 1954, when the stock was given out by the founder, Tom Lyle Williams, my great uncle, it was given mostly to family. Some of the people who
Okay.
worked at the company and been there at the beginning did get stock, but it was never put out, publicly. So it was a very
Okay.
private family. That's why you'll hear all about
Wow.
Revson and Max Factor and all of the all other cosmetic people. But you see, when Tom Lyle back started in 1915, and by the 1920s and 30s, the government was not allowing gays to have any influence on American women. So Tom Lyle had to basically live behind the Rudolph Valentino home, his villa, with his
Mhm.
lifetime partner of 50 years until they died, and keep that part very quiet. And as children, we were taught never to say anything about who we were, or if anybody came to the door, we were taught to say, "I don't know, I don't know." So everything had to be
Interesting.
secret. So no, there's nothing on the family until I wrote this book.
Wow. So you really are, and I've seen it written about you. Like, you are the keeper of all the information and
Hmm.
all the secrets. Like,
Hmm.
you are the living, breathing story, the legacy that is your family. It's you. It's locked in the Sharrie box.
I think so because I'm the only one that was so interested.
Okay.
That's how it started. Was my grandmother, Miss Maybelline,
Mhm.
went on to uh well, at the end of the book, I mean, it was a very horrible ending right now what happened to her, but she loved to talk about her life, starting when I was very young. And when I had to do, I think in the sixth grade, some kind of a speech contest, I didn't know what to do it on. And Nana, as I called her, said, "Why don't you tell the Maybelline story?" And I had no idea. Well, what is it? And she told a little story of Annie Mabel burning her eyelashes and then using Vaseline to try to make them grow. And then she put a little coal dust on it to kind of give it some color. And then her younger brother came in and saw it. And, that's the story. And he named it Maybelline after her. So I won the speech contest.
I love
And
this.
with that, my interest was piqued from there on in. And every time we'd get together for dinner or anything, she would have a glass of wine and she would just roll out the stories forever and ever. So eventually she died, and then my dad took over telling me details, small details. What kind of hat did they wear? What kind, really filling it in. And
Mhm.
so when I wrote the book, it was 1,000 pages, It had to be cut
Full.
down,
Oh, I
you know.
bet. Wow.
But I put the rest of it in the second book, but that was 1,000 pages too.
Oh my
So yeah,
goodness.
there's a lot to tell.
That is amazing. And I remember reading something. Your dad is the one who helped you write the book, giving you like the
Hmm.
details and filling in the
Yes,
story. So you guys actually worked really closely together to make sure that this was a true and
yes.
authentic piece of writing.
Oh, yes. And of course, my grandmother, she lived
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so her tragic ending too, who would have thought that when I started wanting to write this book, basically I would say at 15 was when I really started to be interested. And I always
Wow.
asked questions. I think that was my strong suit with her,
Uh-huh.
was I just asked questions. And she would
Yeah.
just
Tell
have
me
so much
more.
fun, yeah, telling me. And so then eventually I had no idea that I'd have to wait until her death because so much more was going to happen than the little story of burning the cork.
How your grandma passed away. That's
Oh,
like a huge controversy. That's still almost like a cold case from my
so it is.
understanding.
It definitely is 47 years now. But there is a podcast I did, six episodes. It's on the coroner's report. That's what the
Ooh,
podcast is called. And it's on
okay.
every streaming, from YouTube to Apple to everything. And it is the story, and it is really tells what happened, and it is very difficult to listen to. And I
Oh,
was, one of the people that they interviewed since I was there, as the granddaughter, and she took off from Lido Isle in Newport Beach, living the high life here, with some a crook, basically, but had conned her into believing that they got married at the Bay Club. My father wouldn't even go. I went, but he took her to Hot Springs, Arkansas. Uh, started squandering her money because stupidly she put his name on all her accounts.
oh,
Turns out that she found out, what was happening, and terrible divorce, got through it. Then she called in actually he was her wig maker from Newport Beach, and he became sort of her business partner. And then they opened a theater, kind of like the Grand Ole Opry, and
wow.
she was the host. She was Miss Maybelline. She was the star. She came out. And the night that they opened, all the dignitaries were there. Even Clinton was invited. And this is Hot Springs in Arkansas. And he was running for no, he was attorney general. He was running for governor at that time. And
Wow.
the
Okay.
next day, she was killed. And her house, whoever it was, started her house on fire. And well, she was dead before the house was started on fire. So she was killed.
And that was
Her house
proven.
was, oh yeah. I mean,
Oh,
when
wow.
if you were to listen to the podcast, you
I
would
will.
know.
Hmm.
And then $3 million in bearer bonds were stolen. And yeah, the house is burned. She's dead, and all that money was taken.
Wow.
And it was covered up, and it's been covered up. But this podcast is gaining interest because right now I have a contract as the talent part of a docudrama that will be taken from that. The
Sounds like.
podcast is really interesting because it's done by the coroner who actually, was the one who pronounced her dead.
Oh,
It's his
wow.
podcast, and he is doing old cases. And
Okay.
on my grandmother's case, even though it was 47 years ago, so many of the people, she had opened a dinner palace, but before that, it was a skating rink. And all the kids and all the people were young. So at this point, they are still alive. And
Yeah.
they're the ones who spoke. It wasn't just made up. It
Wow.
was, they had a couple detectives or investigators who dealt with all of these people. And it's pretty clear when you hear the word of mouth from people that were alive during that horrible time. So yeah, it can be, it's sort of gruesome, the whole thing. especially when they talk about her death and all that. But it's really good too, if you like true crime. I've devoted my entire life to this. My dad always said that my divorce was because of my obsession with my family
Oh.
and my need to write the book. Instead of being just a little housewife behind the man, I wanted to tell this story. And here it is, 30 years later, and I'm still, since the divorce, and I'm still pushing it forward, pushing a docudrama, pushing a series.
And
It'll
how
die
and
with me
yeah.
because none of the other cousins are interested. Well, they don't know anything because they did not have my grandmother with her fam. She's very flamboyant and glamorous and different from all of the other members of the family because she was married to my grandfather, who's the original blood heir. So she was a dancer and a showgirl and all these kind of things. And she kept that up to the very end of the opening of the palace that night when she came out and all dressed in rhinestone hats and everything else. And
Wow.
she was killed the next day. So pretty good story.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you do that though? It's obviously a story, and there's tragedy and there's glamour and there's history and it's rich and people love these kinds of things. So it's the stories, but it's personal. How do you do that? I mean, how do you talk about her death and loss and the things that happen? Like, how this is so deeply yours and your family. Like, how do you do that where you tell the story and not cry? I don't know how
Well,
else to ask it. Like, how do you do that?
the making of the podcast was really hard for me because they uncovered things I had no idea of.
Wow.
And it was shocking. We did not know that $3 million in bear bonds were stolen. It would have gone to us, yes, my younger brother. He died recently. Um, in her will, he got all the property that was stolen from us, and then the money in the will was to go to the girls, three girls, and so Nana had, she had other money, but she had those bonds put away for us, and to have that taken from us, it would have changed everything. I might not have gotten divorced. I mean, but it was meant to be because I was lit on fire myself to tell that story. Like nothing was going to stop me now. And after that
Mhm.
podcast, and I found out what had happened, and we always thought that she had been burned beyond recognition. Nope, no, she wasn't burned beyond recognition. Somebody, I think it was the medic or whatever it was there, was not supposed to go into the burning house, but he did because he could see her feet, and so he crawled on his belly and pulled her out. She wasn't burned, she had been scalded. I had never heard of such a thing as that if the smoke was all over, but the fire had not actually reached her body, but the heat had scalded her face, especially when they broke the door open, the windows open, and the water was, you know, sprayed in or whatever, that created steam.
Oh,
So she wound up
wow.
having a deep face peel. I mean,
Goodness.
her face was scaling and everything else. And so, but she
Oh,
was not burned. So all of that was a lie, you know,
oh,
from the person we think did it. And also, it said we were told that she made it to the front door and she turned the knob and it fell off in her hand and she fell back and she was burned beyond recognition. We believed that until this podcast came out.
and when was
So,
that? How long had you gone
oh,
with
that was last year. So all this
47
stuff,
years, you said? You thought it was one way and then learned that
uh-huh.
it
And
wasn't.
that's what I wrote in my book, what
What
I
a
had
shock.
been told and what my dad thought, what we all thought, because the person we think did it had told all of those lies and to the police and everything. And we didn't know until it was uncovered by the actual people, not just the townspeople. There was the fire chief, there was the police chief. They were all still alive. So we got all of their opinions and the coroner and all kinds of different people in this
Brilliant.
podcast.
Brilliant.
Now, I was so upset during that year, last year, finding all this out and just so angry that I couldn't have been there to save her. But I
Oh,
couldn't. I had a brand new baby. I could not go to Arkansas.
but
My
you carry
husband had,
that? That
yeah,
feeling that you could have been there to save her?
I
You
would
had,
have. Had I been there,
wow.
none of this would have happened.
That's
Nobody would have, you wouldn't have gotten through me. Because then my husband was an
wow.
attorney, my dad, I would have had phone calls, I would have protected her.
Wow. But that's a big thing to bear. Do you feel that as guilt that you weren't there? Have you let that go?
No, I don't know if it's guilt. It's just grief, just sadness that she chose
Yeah.
to leave us and our family and go there.
Mm.
And uh, why would you do that? I was
Convinced?
very angry, so angry at her. We all were in the beginning when
Sure.
it first happened. We were just so shocked and angry at her. And for years and years, my dad probably died being angry at her. I don't know, but
Mm.
as I got older myself, I was 30 when she died, and I had Georgia, my baby. She, I couldn't relate to her. I could not relate to what
Hmm.
she had done, leaving us and all that. When
Wow.
I got to be older, like she was, I'm going to say in my 60s, 70s, then I started to understand. I had to do a lot of living myself, and she always said that you got to do a lot of living before you understand.
Ah.
And now that I'm her age, in fact, I'm older than her now because I passed her age now from when she died. So I could look at her as a girlfriend and I could understand her need. She'd been a showgirl and not like a Vegas showgirl. She was in the Russian ballet and she was ran away into the circus and she was just a
Performer.
major go-getter all her
Mm.
life, even running off in her 70s and doing this thing. But sometimes I think she did it to give me a fabulous ending to my book, without her
Mm.
realizing it.
She was
Some weird,
living it out.
destiny thing. I don't know.
Wow.
But now, if she were my girlfriend and she would talk to me, she was very lonely. We were all busy. I had just gotten married. My dad was divorced from my mother and with somebody, and everybody was growing up, and she was just becoming this, nana. But we didn't. She wasn't as involved like she had been all our lives because we were grown, everybody. And so she was lonely
Mm.
and she wanted fun. She wanted to still have some fun. So when this guy came, the thing of it was he was a crook and we weren't there to protect her. She was very independent. She was an empress. You would not. There was no weakness. She was German, full
Wow.
German, okay?
Couldn't tell her anything. She's gonna do what she's gonna do.
No.
She's
Oh
gonna think
my
what she's gonna
God.
think. Can't stop her.
She ran the show.
Got it.
Okay, but now at this age, had I understood where she was coming from, I'm not so angry, really. I think I am a little bit
Hmm.
still angry, but not like I was because I really do understand. But see, she drank, she smoked. You can't even believe she'd be so beautiful. She didn't smoke every day. She only smoked if she went to dinner
Hmm.
or was having cocktails. But then she just I don't know. She took care of herself completely, believe me, all the time. Laid on
Hmm.
her hydroculators every night with her feet up, her whole life. And
With
she
her
taught me
mud.
to,
The mud,
oh
right?
yeah, oh yeah,
Do
definitely her
you?
face masks. And
Oh
I
my.
have her face mask on right now
Oh,
while I'm talking to you.
that's
Oh yeah, very
talk
much like
about a
Nana.
legacy. Just taking her secrets, and that's not something you buy on the counters somewhere. Like this is
Oh
a
no, you have to make it.
homemade like Nana's mask. Like don't you have a
Yeah.
name? You call it mud?
Well, because it was like a
Nana's
mud
mud?
pack. She'd always call
Yeah.
it a mud pack.
So she had
So
her ways.
she had her ways of staying beautiful. Well, she had flawless skin. She didn't
Mm.
have a pore on her face, I mean,
Oh
that
wow.
beautiful German skin, real moist and alabaster. And she never allowed herself to be in the sun. And
Wow.
of course,
Well,
I'm from the 60s. I went to the beach every day. And she would get so upset when I'd get burned or something, I'm ruining my
Oh.
face. And she'd say, "Don't you understand that your complexion, your skin is your calling card? It's the first thing people see. And that people can judge you on." Anyway, she was very difficult because her standards were so high, and she expected me to uh, not be a child, you know what I mean?
Grow up fast. Take care of your face. That must have been a lot of pressure for
There was
you.
way more than the face. It was,
Ugh.
she taught me how to pin curl my hair when I was 7 years old. It was always about beauty. It was always about perfection and never being seen. That's why I'm not, you know, doing a visual right now with you because I'm not at my very best.
So that still lives in you. There,
Oh, it
there
will forever.
forever. There's things
Yeah,
that are
yeah.
locked in. What else is
Oh, yeah.
locked in who you are and how you live life today that was inspired by your grandmother?
Oh, well, I mean, she'd always say, nobody ever had to ask me twice to get up and perform.
Mm,
That's a German part. When she was young, I guess in the turn of the century in 1910 or whatever, when she was about 10, they didn't have what we have now. So her three sisters, Nana played the violin, Bunny played the trumpet, and Verona played the piano. So they'd have they had like a three-story brown house with a big ballroom. And, the girls were asked to get up and sing or dance or play the instruments. And so she expected me to always be like that. When I was younger, she'd go, "Sharrie, get up and sing the old songs. That's what people want to hear. They don't want that rock and roll. Sing the old
right
songs." So I'd have
now,
to,
right now.
right now, get up
Yeah.
right now. And she'd go, "Sing Pennies from Heaven." But I was taking singing lessons for 5 years, Italian opera. So I mean, they expected
Wow.
that, but still, through MGM, because my mother's family is MGM. So I have Maybelline on one side, MGM on the other, and it wasn't like we were show people.
Wow, like to your core. I don't think I knew
Oh, yeah,
that.
to the core.
My
Sure,
goodness, Sharrie.
definitely. My uncle, my real uncle, won the Academy Award for special effects in The Longest Day and Ben-Hur. And my great uncle, my grandfather's brother, was a silent film director, and he worked with Harold Lloyd. He was Harold Lloyd in the silent film, just the one with the big round glasses. And he was the one that always got the girl in the end. So that was my uncle. And my grandfather
Wow.
ran the studio practically for 55 years, not the executive offices, but the actual studio, the three
Whoa.
lots, the costumes, the props, the construction department. He and his men built every single soundstage in
Wow.
Culver City.
That's on your mom's side.
That's my mom's side. So I got
Wow.
to grow up having the makeup all the time.
Mm,
Maybelline would send it to us.
of
And from
course.
my grandfather's side, he'd bring props. I had costumes. I put backyard production shows on as a child in the backyard. And so I was pretty much entrenched in a world that really wasn't, it was a bubble. It wasn't really part of the real world. My grandfather did The Wizard of Oz, and he was also a special effects pioneer and Gone with the Wind,
Wow.
every single movie at MGM. He was the one who built the sets, who was in charge of everything. So having that, but very, very humble. And so was my great uncle, my father's uncle. They're from Kentucky. My father's uncle, who started Maybelline, very soft spoken and humble, no arrogance at all. The arrogance
Wow.
came actually with my dad because, I mean,
Oh,
he was very good looking, got all that money in his early 40s, stunningly handsome. And yeah, that's kind of and when I was younger, I was very arrogant too. There's no doubt about it. Very spoiled, very
well,
entitled. It-
following in family footsteps in
yes,
the way
that's
that life
right.
was. So
Hmm.
I'm curious. I want to ask you about your dad a little more, but I'm really curious
Oh,
as you're telling me about the performance life, the show life, the big life, like you said, like in this bubble. How did you find yourself?
Oh,
Did
not
you
for a long
ever
time.
did you feel like you were putting on an act like every day as
Not at
like
the time. Not at the time. But when my husband, I lost a baby in the fourth month, and my husband had left me right before.
oh,
And I looked at myself in a full length mirror in a granny gown, and I just fell to the floor and just said, God, what am I doing wrong? I have everything. I have the house with the view. I have a Shelby convertible, the original Shelby. I have everything. Why am I so unhappy? And
hmm,
then, well, of course, I was losing the baby, which I did, and it was a boy. But, and Gene and I never got back together after that. But a friend brought me
devastating.
a book called Codependent No More. And I read that thing so fast. The last thing it said is, run, don't walk to your nearest Al Anon meeting. Well, I have like 35 years in Al Anon now. And that was what changed my life when I began to realize that everything I did was for someone else, to
Ah,
be exactly what Nana expected. I had many different costumes, many different wigs. I had a whole MGM studio right there in my little house there, wherever,
I
to
love it.
be what whoever it was needed. I lived two lives, the lives with the family that I began to realize anyway, and the lives with who I really am outside of the family with my friends and the goals and the things that I wanted to do. I One of the first things that I got into counseling and Al-Anon, and they said, my sponsor said, all I want you to do is go to the market and buy something for yourself. Well, I went to the market and I went, oh, Jean would really like that. Oh, I wish I could get that for my dad. Oh, God, my mom. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
finally, I
Mm-hmm.
had to take time and go, well, what is it that I would really want that
Big
I
question.
wouldn't have to share with anybody? And it was a cantaloupe.
I love it. The cantaloupe was the game changer.
It was a game changer just for me, and I ate the whole thing.
That's your next book, Sharrie, The Cantaloupe.
Oh
How I
my
Found
God, that's
Myself.
too funny. But from
Wow.
then on, big changes happened. And then I got into Overeaters Anonymous because I was either starving or stuffing to stay skinny and taking diet pills and
Mm,
everything through after high school, but always had to be perfect. So basically, it's like
what
that book,
pressure.
Dying to Be Perfect.
Mm,
And then in Al-Anon, I mean, in OA, people were listening to my story. Everybody shares. So I'm telling my story like my normal life, like I'm telling you, and people are sitting there with their mouths open. And they said, you've got to write a book.
100%.
This is not normal.
But there's so much about you that needs to be in that book. Like, yes, you want to share. This is why I want to circle back to your dad who said that he thinks you being obsessed with the story of your family is what ended your marriage. I heard you
Hmm.
say that. So I want to ask you
Hmm.
that question because
Hmm.
you could write a book about you and your story and the things that happened to you and the things you learned and all, but you're sharing other people's stories and other people's histories. Yes, it's your family, but where's you? Where's Sharrie in it all? I mean, I feel like there's
Well,
two books.
there is two books. The second one, my agent had said, I want you to write a book about your life.
Good. Okay, good.
And that's the one. It's 1,000 pages, and it starts off,
Wow.
right after World War II, and just everything. I love it. That would also be in the series, of course. My book would go
Yes, which I
along.
hope happens. And now we've pushed the record button. Can you share what's going on with that? Because everyone's going to want to watch your life in a series. I do. I can't wait.
Hopefully it happens, but right now, like I said, it's with Warner Brothers. But until they decide what's happening with this buyout or what they're going to do, everything is of course, my agent said if they do not make a decision, because they've had it for months. If they
Wow.
don't make a decision by the 1st of November, I'm taking it to other producers. So
Ah,
that is where we're at there. And then
okay.
the Nana podcast is a whole nother thing. That is actually in the UK, a producer in the UK. So,
Oh.
but here, the interesting thing of it is I could not have taken on either of those projects any further because I had to come home and get this house put back to its original glory.
Mm. Mm.
So I had three projects. One of them, the first one that's right in my face, is the house. The second one would be the podcast, and the third one would be the big movie one. And so now I know that God was saying to me, you can't do it all. You
Mm.
finish one thing, 6 months, I'm done, pretty much done here. And
Wow.
I know any minute that something else is going to break. And I'll have, and not only
Same.
will I have the confidence to move
Ah,
forward here, because for the last 4 years, probably in Arizona, I was pretty much living in isolation. My sister Donna had passed away, my baby brother from a blood clot that had gone to his lungs, and he was only 60, 61, I think. And
oh, I'm
I,
so
in Arizona,
sorry.
I just wanted to be with my kids, and I didn't do anything. I did do the podcast. In fact, all the cousins, the Maybelline cousins, went to Morganfield, Kentucky, where the family started. And they did a big deal, and they did a giant mural with Maybelline and Tom Lyle and Mabel on it. They had a parade. I can't even tell you, 5 days of celebrating our family. So
Wow.
I did do that. I did do the podcast. And now this year I'm doing the house. But I also have two signed contracts, one for the podcast and then one for the book. So for my age, that's pretty darn amazing to be this vital
This
and I
busy, good things.
busy and vital.
Mm.
But I can see what's happening, because when I was in Arizona for the last few years, I I really didn't even want to talk to anyone on the phone. I just wanted to be alone and deal with my feelings, and just I was sick of everything in life, and sort of just was ready to go at any time, just take me. And then all of a sudden, it was a gift when the people moved out of this house and I had to come back, because now I've had to be talking every day, talking to contractors, showing them what to do, going out with my old friends, just doing, talking on the phone right now to you. All this kind of stuff
Living.
is up living. Good point. All this kind of stuff is God pulling me back into the spotlight and saying, get ready for your close up, because it's about to pop.
Oh, I love
But what's
that.
interesting to me is, why couldn't have this happened when I was in my 40s? Because you would just be another pretty face in your 40s. That's why you had to be in your late 70s to be a real role model, come out with this story, still be able to speak, dress, look good, all that kind of stuff. That is your secret now, not being just another person in your 40s. So Nana died at 77. It was just practically after her birthday. And I'm 78 now, but you would not know it if you met me.
Hell
You know
no.
what I mean?
I've seen photos. My mom's taken pictures when you guys have hung out. I'm like, there's no way you were even in your 70s.
Mm-mm, no, no. So that's
But
a gift from Nana. I have to
but
say it again. It's my
timing.
German part. But
Yeah.
and I am now back in life against my will.
Sometimes it's how that goes, right?
Against my will. It's just like your basement.
Mm.
That was such a hassle, but it was God saying, I got to do something to get this done for you. And so it always seems to come in some miserable situation that turns out amazing.
Yeah, I love that you said that, because this is what we talked about too before pushing record. We're put here to like face chaos and become stronger and better for it, and find the lesson in it and manage ourselves differently through it. And what you're telling me now too is timing. Timing mattered in this, and you went through this tough
Mhm.
time more recently, which I didn't know. And now back to life and talking to friends, and timing. It feels like timing matters for, like you said, get ready for your spotlight. Like, here it is. Now's the
Mhm.
time.
Yes, Sherry. Yeah, that's like I'm just feeling like Nana and all of them on the other
Yeah.
side are saying, you had to be this age. I remember when my dad turned 80, I think it was his birthday, and I said, and he was so handsome, dressed so beautifully. I just said, Daddy, everybody loves you. And he goes, why? Because I'm old? And I laughed. And I said, oh my God, I think that's part of it, because you are an amazing role model. Everybody wants, I mean, he could still walk in and heads would turn because he was so meticulous. You knew there was something special. And I said, I think that's part of it. And then for this to happen for me as I head towards 80, it's like, well, I must finally be ready. Because I always wanted to be an actress. I always wanted to be in the studio, and I had all the connections. And my
Yeah.
grandfather would say, "You're not ready." And that's when I was like, in early 20s or maybe even 19. And you go, um, I've seen many a starlet fall on her face from drinking and then stepping out of her trailer and falling literally on her face.
Oh
I've
no.
seen people, young starlets, jump off the Hollywood sign. He goes, "You're not ready." And he was right. I would have been swallowed up by it all.
Interesting.
See, I have done enough loving, living, and been through all kinds of buying houses, selling houses, remodeling my own in my own world, and dealing, that now I have confidence. There isn't anybody that can impress me anymore. When I was young, everybody
Love
would have
it.
impressed me. Who knows what it would have, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Well, you're
He
the
was
one who's
right.
impressive now.
I guess so.
I
I
mean,
guess
watch out
so.
for
This age. I had to get this old, you
Sharrie.
know.
See, what keeps coming to my mind is that now, even in your 70s, it's not too late, but do you feel like you're finally coming into your own shoes and like you're finally reaching for your calling?
That is so funny. I had some friends over, I guess, day before yesterday, and I said, I know this sounds weird, but I think I was born to be in my late 70s. I said, it suits me.
This is your
I
era.
am a grand dame. You know what I mean?
Oh, yes.
I am the matriarch. I am the keeper of the secrets. I am the
Yes.
High Lama. You know what I mean? It
I
is
do.
People will come to see me. I don't go look for people anymore.
That's right.
You
I
know,
love
I
that.
don't have to go out and sell myself anymore. My time is limited. If you want to know anything or get the feeling, like just being in this house right now is so beautiful and it's very romantic. Everything is like the family, low lighting and the gold low lights in the ceiling that go on beautiful
Ooh.
furniture. I've still got Rudolph Valentino's furniture that was in the Villa Valentino. It just was recovered and
Oh,
it's
wow.
beautiful and made more modern. It's up to the times right now. But then when I step out, you're dealing with the head of the family.
Heck yeah.
So that is the confidence I had to have. I didn't have confidence. I was faking it when I was
Mm,
young. I had the makeup and the hair and I could walk out and I was like an actress. I could pull it off. But
yep.
now there's no messing around with me.
It's
This is the
real.
real deal. I've lived
That's
through a lot.
absolutely. You've more than earned it, which I don't even really believe in earning your confidence, but you do, like you said, you have to live to get there. I love that you said I was born to be in my 70s. Well,
Mhm.
you're a powerhouse and now you're in those shoes and they fit.
Very well. I like it. I've grieved about each stage of my life. I remember being so sad that I wasn't 19 anymore with the long ponytail. I missed her.
Mm,
And
mm.
then the mother, the young mother, I missed her. I'm the crone now. And I never wanted to be the crone, but you know, she's magical. She's a magical crone.
Oh,
She's beautiful with stars around her. And
absolutely.
I have the power of God now. See, that's the other thing is that I am a Christian
Hmm.
and I do prayer and meditation every single day. I bless everybody in my life. And I just know that by doing that, and I ask for the armor of God on me every day as I go out into this vicious world. And I just feel like I am prepared now. I have the armor. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, and what an empowering feeling.
No, I really do feel it. I really do. And it is different than all
Mm.
the other stages of the Sharriness with her
The
costumes.
shariness. I love it. I love it. Well, you've lived a lot of lives and a lot of chapters, but this is maybe
Hmm.
the realest one you've been in.
And the best.
And the best at
Wouldn't that be
78.
amazing if the best time of my life was when I was 80?
And how inspiring. Like you hear them say the best is yet to come. They, who's the they?
Hmm.
But that actually is true with you. The best was yet to come.
I can't even believe it. I had to
Yeah.
actually be older than Nana when she died. Nana was always way out there, you know? I mean, but now I have surpassed her.
Wow. So take me back to the conversation that you had with your dad about him saying your obsession with the family and the family story ended your marriage. Did you believe that?
Well, I really did think about it. You know, well, what do you mean? I didn't even really realize. And then my brother Preston said, "You ruined Jean." What? And of
Oof.
course, he had known Jean since he was 10 years old. How? Because nobody could keep up with me, you know, number one. And Jean used to call me, I swear to God, like seemed like 3 to 5 times a day. And just to see where I was, he said, because you're like a helium balloon. And if I don't hold on to the string, you're just going to float away. And
Oh
he says,
boy.
you are so friendly. You talk to everybody, even someone in the gas station, the guy pumping your gas, which that was a long time ago. And he says, you make the most mundane things sound so exciting that everybody wants to be part of your life.
Oh.
And he says, I have to work and I can't keep an eye on you all the time.
Oh, what? Like you needed to be
I
kept in a
know.
cage?
I know. I think so. I think that that is what he wanted, just a little
Oh.
wife who was in the kitchen. I tried doing all that. I really did when Georgia was really little.
Mm-hmm.
And then I, in your 40s, you begin to change in your 40s. You know, you just begin to. I worshiped Gene. He was a lawyer. He'd come home from work. I would take his shoes. I would take his
The whole
jacket
thing.
and I
The
would hang it
housewife life.
up. And there was dinner always, you know,
Oh.
always ready. And it was just, you know, I was the little wife, perfect. And
Mm,
looked really great because I spent the whole day fixing myself up
of
and
course.
laying out in the sun and getting tan, which made Nana scream and all that. And then all of a sudden the baby came finally when I was 30 and then put another 10 years and it's like, mm-mm, I'm finally waking up, you know?
Mm.
I I don't really want. I always wanted to be the woman behind the man. You know, that's it. And Nana and her sister Brona, you've got to learn to during the day, what you need to do is read interesting magazines like Time magazine or whatever, and have some interesting conversation when your husband comes home, and learn to make a good martini. You have to stir it 100 times,
Oh
and
my
then
goodness.
I know this is what I had
It's
to
like
live
a
up to.
recipe
It
for
was a
being a
recipe.
housewife.
No, it was sort of like a Doris Day movie.
Oh gosh. Sounds like it. It sounds like a film.
I was perfect. And you have to give
Oh,
beautiful dinner parties and have all the china and crystal and silver and the candelabra and the
oh
music. Music is
wow.
really important. So I was just programmed. And then finally, uh, I just, something happened. I think it was losing the baby for sure. Because I'd done everything right. Why, you know, what's happening? Why am I so unhappy?
Mm. You said the word programmed.
Hmm. It was still fun, you
Okay,
know,
well,
doing
sure. Doing all the
it was
things.
pretty exciting. There was all the money and the cars and the going to all the Maybelline cousins. They all had big houses like in Montecito or in all over the
Mm,
place. And it was really fun. But now
sure.
I realize we were all performing.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
We were all performing with each other, and we were never allowed to do anything if when we went up to our uncle's house. Never allowed to be less than perfect. Just sit and keep your mouth shut. Just sit over there and
Wow.
look beautiful.
So much pressure.
Oh, it
So,
was way too much for me when I was so young.
oh, absolutely. Well,
That's
yes.
why
And
I'm enjoying being 70s because
yeah,
nobody's
hindsight.
telling me what to do.
That must be one of the biggest game changers in your life is getting to that place where you call the shots.
Yes, but I have to be responsible for my own mistakes. And that is also hard to do because when I was married, I could blame Jean for everything when the decisions were wrong, or I could blame Nana or my dad or anyone, right? I could point the finger. Well, I learned that when you point the finger, three are pointing back at you. So
Mm,
now I just pray for wisdom and discernment, clarity, confidence to be able to make a decision that I can stand with, that is not because I have to be, I'm responsible for everything now.
that's
I
so
can't,
wise.
yeah, got to be
It
this
is.
age to do it.
Well, yeah, and hopefully you don't have to go through and like the widespread people listening, like hopefully you don't have to go through years and years of heartache to try and find that part of you. But I think, like, to your point, there's something to living life for a long enough period of time to be able to see it from up above and zoom out. I use this with my clients a lot. Like, zoom out and look at your life differently as if you weren't in it to really see what it looks like. And it's like from what I'm hearing from you, it's a mix of living it and having to go through it and getting to your 70s to have a new perspective,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
also realizing, I love that you said taking responsibility. That is something that people who aren't loving their life don't do very well. I think that's like the big ticket, is like, what are you in charge of? What are you responsible for? What can you actually have control of right this second? It's not
Mm-hmm.
everybody's fault. The blaming and the victim, role it doesn't work for growth.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-mm.
you figured that out.
I did, but with a lot of help. I did get to go back to school
Fair.
when I was in my 50s, and I got my bachelor's degree in psychology.
Nice.
And then I wrote a whole 1,000-page book, and then I
Oh,
was mother of the bride, and that was a huge, giant ordeal. Getting everybody from the beach here to go to Arizona, and the showers and the parties. I mean, everything was just huge. And then
wow.
after that, it was buying a house. I mean, I had this house, but I bought 3 houses in Arizona. See, at the time, I still wasn't put together enough to realize that you don't buy 3 houses during the recession and then lose one in foreclosure. And
Oh
then
no.
I kept the big one, the great, big, beautiful one, for 15 years and then sold it. And the other one I bought and sold and made money. So I was really proud of that. But the second one, that's right when my book came out. I just couldn't hold it all together. So
Mm,
then I had to go through that downturn of the economy myself, without my dad being there, without Jean being there, and I had to suffer the losses, but I
on
came
your
through
own.
it. I built
Mm-hmm.
myself back up again.
Yeah.
So I can see what I can do. I can see my worth. I can see what is in me, and I like it.
What you're capable of on your own two
Hmm.
feet.
Yes.
Wow.
I think I was raised to be a female on the outside, really soft and beautiful. But I like, my sisters and I were males on the inside.
Mm.
Hmm.
Tough.
Gene finally said to me, after I finally not being sweet and anything anymore and losing the baby, he said, I just got tired of living with another man. Well, wait a minute. I just want to be an equal. Why does that mean that you're living with another man?
Interesting.
Hmm.
But you didn't
Yep,
blame yourself. I'm catching that you outgrew him in a way and you
I
figured
think
out
so.
what was meant for you, but it wasn't your
He was my
fault.
fantasy, a lawyer, dinner parties,
Mm.
all of those wonderful things. I just figured that, gosh, by the time we're 40, we'll have a Rolls Royce and we'll live right on the sand. I mean, I was so out of, reality. I
Yeah.
just kept thinking it would just continue to get better. It would just continue to get better. You just get richer. You just get bigger stuff. I mean, that's how it was in the bubble I lived in all my
Well, yeah,
life.
that's why you were raised in that
I
in that
couldn't,
brain space to think
yes.
that way.
And
It
Jean,
makes
of
sense.
course, had to struggle being a young attorney. And finally, I never worked or anything. Of course, I got a lot of money from Nana and my dad and all that, but still, he needed a woman, and he got one that worked in his office and was behind. I didn't want to do any of that.
Mm.
Yeah, not going to do that. So as you can see, he was my fantasy in my Doris Day period. But then when I began to go to learning who I am through the 12 steps and everything, I began to realize that I didn't really have respect for his decision making.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
What do you mean?
And well, he made a lot of mistakes, and all kinds of mistakes, not just financial, but personal. that affected me.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't like him. He wasn't, see, he also had grown up in a family where he had to perform.
Mm.
Italian family, only boy and a sister. And so, they expected him to be a judge. They expected so much from him. And so the two of us together had so much performing to do with his family, with my family. It was just exhausting.
Yeah, I bet.
And,
And
you know, I think that's what my dad meant. Oh, my dad once told me to shut up. And he just said, shut up. And I didn't say anything. He goes, you're just too much. You never stop.
mm,
He goes, it bugs people. And then I thought to myself, I would never ever said anything to him, but I just thought, well, that's how you always were.
hmm,
That's how my mother always was. They had parties constantly. I grew up in a party world. I
yeah.
was going to write a book called Party Food and Promises
Oh,
because that was my life.
because that was your life. How
Hmm.
how would you respond to that? Because I hear this, though, you're too much, you're too much. How would you respond to being told that now?
Well, I kind of understand what he was talking about now because I've slowed way down, but my best friend is never stops and she never stops talking and she drives me so crazy that I think I understand what he meant, but all I was ever trying to do was just move forward, just keep moving forward, like
Mm.
I'd go shopping for him. He'd give me his credit card and I would go and I'd buy him clothes and shoes and you know, I guess I loved him so much. I really was too attached to my dad, and that's probably what blew my marriage.
Mm.
Hmm. I think I was probably married to my dad. Not in any molesting ways, but
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
psychologically, he
Yeah.
depended on me since I was a child.
He depended on you.
So, yes, my mother had a nervous breakdown after the fourth child was born. She had to go in, have shock treatment. This was like in 1960.
That's
And I became
scary.
my dad's little wife. I mean, we did everything
Ah,
together.
I hear you.
Everything. He depended on me to take
So,
care of the kids, to cook, even to do
wow.
everything. And so at that time, I was only 12, 13. And I took on the role of being a wife and a mother. And then my mother finally came back. And then in later years, she wound up sort of like in a kind of in a home. And I was the one that always was there every week taking care of her or at my dad's watching out for them. So as much as I miss all of them so terribly, I couldn't do that today. If I had to go over to my dad's house right now with his wife Gloria and be what they expect me to be, I couldn't do it.
Couldn't do it.
Mm-mm.
I hear
I
that.
couldn't even my precious brother and my precious sister, I couldn't deal with their stuff anymore. I just couldn't deal with it.
Mm.
It's
Well,
just was so exhausting
I bet. It
dealing with
was all too
everybody.
much. So it wasn't that you
And
were
I
too much.
wanted to write my book and
Yeah.
I remember my publisher once said to me, someday, Sharrie, you will work with professionals, not your family who you're constantly either fighting with or you're, dealing with something because there was always stuff going on here, lawsuits, not like with my dad's estate. It was so terrible. I can't even tell you what we went through with that. Lasted 5 years, lost so much money, lawyers and
Wow.
everything.
Oh,
But
wow.
all of that was either talking about that or talking about one of them being mad at me for something and I'm not handling the estate right or something. And I just love them and miss them so much, but I can't deal with anybody's problems anymore. I'm too
Absolutely.
tired.
Well, and you've put in more than enough time, more than you should. It made me think
Yeah.
of the going shopping and buy something for yourself and how you're always thinking of who can I get something for? Like you just
Hmm.
needed the cantaloupe, Sharrie. It
I
was
needed
time for
that
the cantaloupe.
cantaloupe. Yeah.
Yep.
It was a good one too.
Sweet. I hope it was
It
sweet and
was.
filling
It
and
was really ripe. It was really good. So now I don't push Georgia. I don't get involved unless she needs me, which is a lot. But I don't try to control their life, except in a way I do everything to keep them financially stable and keep their marriage together, but in an invisible way, not with my mouth. I never, Nana was constantly telling us what to do.
Ah.
And then she would say, okay, well, we're gonna go out and we're gonna clean this or do something. And I'd say, but Nana, you're not even doing anything. She goes, well, that's because I'm supervising.
But so then you're
Like,
explaining the
that's
difference
a
between
big job.
that's a big job. It's the difference between support and control. Like you can stand there and control things and say all the things you need to say and tell someone what to do. But what you just explained is you're more supportive than you are controlling.
Yes, that's what I learned in the program.
That's helpful. That's great. Well, and I'm sure that's good for relationships too, right? Because,
It's really, really good. I'm there if you need me,
yeah,
but I am not going to get involved in the day-to-day stuff.
yeah.
I'm not going to be saying, well, you should be doing this or he should be doing. No, that's what my grandmother did. That's what Nana did. And
Well,
she was terrible to my mother.
you're too tired for that stuff. You don't
I'm
need
too
that
tired of
stuff.
listening. The kids are
You've got
teenagers now.
you've got sparkly shoes to walk around in.
That's right. That is the new me, or that's the old me, but revamped,
Maybe it's
repackaged.
the you that was always there that you finally let out.
I think so. And I think that everyone does like me now because I'm not a threat to anyone. You know what I mean? You don't
Mm.
have to worry about me trying to compete with you.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, I mean,
Sure.
like anybody that comes in, but don't worry about me trying to, I'm not trying to.
I
I
will not
love
one
the
up
way,
you.
no, that was a thing in our family, constantly
Oh,
one-upping with the
so
cousins and everything.
competitive.
Oh, yes, I was the most
That's
competitive. I think that's another reason why Jean said, I don't tired of living with a man.
mm,
I was
because you're
competitive.
competitive. Ah, I
hmm
see. I
But I
see.
didn't realize it. It was just
Yeah.
the way that we all were. And we all had really dry, funny sense of humor. Kind of like not critical, but just kind of
Sarcastic, little
sarcastic
witty
and
jabs.
yes, real quick comebacks. But then we'd
Uh-huh.
laugh.
Yeah, good.
We'd laugh. But that's how we were. We were just well, let's show people in a way.
No, there you go. You
Clicking,
always have
always
that.
clicking. And one more thing I have to say about Nana is that she would take my sister Donna and I out, like for breakfast or lunch or something, and she would say, "Watch me now. This is something I never want you to do." And she would say, have her coffee, and she would dip a cookie in it and take a bite of it. And of course, she was kidding us. She really wanted to have the cookie within the coffee, but the way that she would do it was to say, "Now watch it. Don't you ever do this, what Nana's
Mm.
doing." And but that's how she was very funny all the time
Oh,
too.
I love that. But
Yeah.
wanted that cookie.
Yeah, she just wanted to dip it in. Or her other thing was she would have a glass of water at the end of her lunch or something, and then she would take her napkin and she would dip the end of it and wipe her head. She goes, "Now, don't you guys ever do that. The only reason I'm doing this is just to show you this is not acceptable."
What a good little trick.
She
And
was
now
funny.
you know all her tricks now because
Oh,
you
I could write a whole book on just the things that she says.
oh
Now,
wow.
Sharrie, remember when poverty comes in the front door, love goes out the back. What? Where do you get these things?
They're Nana-isms.
I quote her a lot. I quote
Oh,
Nana. I'll say, "Oh, this is what Nana would say," and everybody loves it because it's too funny. Or my dad, he was just as funny.
you're keeping their legacy alive and
I
keeping their
am.
stories going. So, speaking of legacies, and maybe this is how we end it today, is, what are people going to say about Sharrie? What kind of legacy are you leaving?
Well, I'm a wonderful mother and grandmother, and that is the most important thing to me.
Mm,
And that everything that I was searching for, everything that I thought was important, I didn't realize it, but I was looking for searching for home.
mm.
And I've made beautiful homes. I when you come to my house, you're in my home, and I serve you, and I wait on you, and I make sure you're comfortable, and I'm a good, lovely hostess. And I just feel, and there's no competitiveness, and there's no bragging, or there's nothing. It's just I really feel that you see my soul now, not just another pretty face. And
Love
I think
that.
that that's what everyone will remember about me, is especially as I get older, because I'm so mellowed out now compared to how I used to be. I think that they will have loved me, and they will remember me, not by the clothes I wore or the car I drove or where I lived, but who I was. I was able to rise above all that and find the real joy, which is home. You know what I mean? It's like, I just want to go home. I'm so tired of fighting. And that is what I've given my family. George is just like me that way. She's a beautiful mother, and runs a beautiful home. And so that's what I passed on. And hopefully the boys too will. I think they will. And that will come from me and basically my mother. See, losing my mother at 13, with having to go into the mental hospital and all that, I lost my home. Before then, oh my God, our Christmases, everything. My mother made it so special. But then she just got burned out from having to live it all. She couldn't do it. She wasn't as strong as me. So that's it. The most important thing is home, whatever that means to you. And I don't mean a house. I
Yeah,
mean, whatever that is, where you feel like you're home
mm-hmm.
and you're loved and you're safe
Mm.
and you're laughing and you're playing the piano and you smell the good cooking and there's no fighting.
Feel safe. Safe is the
You're
word that
safe.
comes to mind. Mm-hmm.
You're safe.
Mm.
And you want someone to hold you.
Mm.
Let me hold, let me hold the baby. Let me hold Preston.
That's cozy.
Cozy. That's what it has to be. It has to be cozy.
Well, and that's your home. Like you said, it's whatever you call home and what gives you those feelings.
hmm
It makes
It's not
sense.
chasing something anymore. It's
Mm.
just being home.
Love
And
that.
they say build it and they will come. So I this is pretty beautiful right now. So I hope they come.
Well, and for people who can't and won't see, you're in Laguna Beach in Southern California, which is absolutely beautiful. What are you looking at right now, Sharrie? What can you
Oh,
see
the
out your
ocean
window?
and the palm trees and the town.
You said one thing at a time was something you learned more recently in these big things that you're having to go through, but you have one thing at a time and you're okay with it. That's
Yes.
that's tough for go-getters and doers and people performative people pleasers.
Yes.
It's really hard to slow down and be okay with I have these things on my plate, but I'm going to take my time, one thing at a
hmm
time, and I'll be okay. My dad used to he still says it to me, one thing at a time and you'll be fine, or one
hmm
step at a time, and you're
That's it.
living
That's the
that.
secret.
That's the secret.
Well, I think,
Oh,
my grandfather at the studio, when you're working at MGM with Louis B. Mayer, you cannot make mistakes and you have to come in under budget. And he was really well known for that. And he did everything so slow. He was a sloth. Because then when he was older, practically when he was in his 80s, he came over to my house and he still was able to make my house look like a movie set. He
oh
did
wow.
all the fabulous stuff, but he would sit there with his pencil and paper so slow. And everything he did when he was putting it up on the wall or whatever, so slow. And it used to give me a tick. It was just so irritating. Then I
Meticulous.
realized you
Mm.
get just as much done if you go slow
Slow
and you don't
down.
make mistakes, because
Oh,
he couldn't make
exactly.
mistake. He had to go when he wrote, he had to write, the budget, and he had to get the stuff in for the studio and for the building. Everything he did was methodical and thought out and perfection when it was done, and you didn't have to redo it. That
Mm.
is one of the things I learned, to just do one thing at a time slowly, even though your mind is racing.
Yeah, well, then you focus, like you said, and you don't make mistakes. I tell my daughter, I don't tell her to hurry when she's putting on her shoes. I tell her to focus. Just
Mm-hmm.
focus on tying your shoes instead of
That's it.
rushing
It's
through
focused.
it. Well, that's good information. Oh my gosh, Sharrie, there are so many nuggets. For anyone listening, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, I feel rejuvenated right now. This must be a
Oh,
natural thing for you to do. You just leave your mark. But I know I'm feeling it on the other side of the microphone. But people listening are probably feeling very encouraged and taking really fantastic advice from you.
oh, I
Honestly,
love that. Thank you so much. That totally makes my day. I mean,
it's
if
amazing.
one person actually listened to it and got something out of it, I would be thrilled. Really.
You're making impact. That's for sure. And it's and one thing I want to make shine a light on is yes, you have this incredible story of your family and of your own to share, but who you are and what you've overcome and what you've learned from it in your growing phase and becoming, who you are and what you know today, like not a lot of people can have those all those parts. You have all the parts. Like
Mm.
it's amazing. You're incredible.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashley. That is so kind and sweet of you. I just can't wait to meet you. I really
And
would love to be together with you and your family and your mom and my family.
we
Maybe
will.
in Arizona at a game or something.
Yes, we will. Absolutely. We have to make that happen.
We have
Uh,
to now.
we do. Oh my gosh, you have given me so much life getting to talk to you like this. Thank you
Oh, thank you
so
so much.
much.
Well, I appreciate it too. And if we ever do it again, we'll do it when I have all my hair and makeup put together.
Yeah, I'm going to upgrade the podcast to a video podcast and we'll do it in some gorgeous studio and you can help me decorate it because I that's not a strength of mine.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
I
Yes,
love
yes.
it. I
Well, I'm sure
love
you
it.
are. But anyway, I will meet you someday. I've met your husband and your mom, so I will meet you and the kids eventually.
Absolutely. I look forward to that. Thank you
Me
for
too.
this.
Absolutely.
Big thank you to Sharrie for sharing your story, your heart, your lessons, things that aren't always easy to say. And my goodness, this woman shines. Be sure to check the show notes to learn more about Sharrie and where to get her book. Thank you for listening today. Remember, your needs matter because you matter. Take care. Thank you so much for listening to the Needy and Normal podcast. If you liked today's episode, please rate and review the show and send your favorite episode to a friend. If you're interested in coaching, visit ablifecoaching.com. I am accepting new clients now and initial discovery sessions are complimentary.